The P.
Really bothering Mikey Garcia because he's putting up that left hand, trying to block it, but he can't block it. When he's trying to block it, you know, Earl Spencer's coming in with that left.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Well, Women of Boxing tweeted this from the Twitter account, and it reads, so it looks like Amanda Serrano wants to fight for yet another vacant WBO title, parentheses, losing count here, but I think that would make it 7 vacant world title belts out of 8, and then duck a Katie Taylor fight. Wow, who could have predicted? And this was in response to a tweet from Amanda Serrano herself regarding the Katie Taylor fight and the future of that fight, just what exactly is going on. Amanda Serrano was addressed by one of the fans who goes by the name of Keith Weatherup, and he asked, "You think you will fight Katie Taylor this year? Be a great fight." To which Amanda Serrano replied, "I doubt it will. I have a bunch of things going on. They are only interested in what they want and how they want it. Girls are getting frustrated and moving on. I have some huge money sponsors, unlike others. I'm good."
Does that mean?
And this essentially denotes what Women of Boxing is talking about. It sounds like, in spite of Amanda signing a 3-fight deal that would see her fighting Katie Taylor at the end of that deal, a deal that she's already one fight into, it sounds like, in spite of that deal, she means to go in another direction. Because yet another tweet from Amanda Serrano reads, "It looks like I'm going to join the Unified Champions. I'll be fighting for the 126-pound title soon. Hashtag all the belts at Lou DeBella." Now let me preface everything I'm about to say with this. The fighters are going to do whatever they're going to do, and we're powerless to stop them, you understand? All you can do is look at this news and react to it however you see fit. Now, if you want to know my reaction to this, if you want to know my opinion,
If you want to know.
one man's opinion, feel free to disagree. But if you want to know my opinion, and you're here, so I'll assume that you do.
You do.
I think Amanda Serrano's getting cold feet. That's what I think. I think that Amanda Serrano might be trying to find a way to get out of that Katie Taylor fight, which is funny because you signed a 3-fight deal with DAZN that was supposed to cap off with a Katie Taylor fight, yet the talk coming from Amanda Serrano does not sound like she is committed to making that fight a reality. Do realize something, that if Amanda Serrano were to square off with Katie Taylor at some point in the near future, Katie Taylor would be the only unified champion in the conversation. She'd be the only one holding belts of any kind in that contest.
Why?
Why is that? Well,
Here's why.
Amanda Serrano don't hold no belts at lightweight. She had the opportunity. I mean, you can't say that the opportunities weren't there for someone who's been around the sport of boxing since 2009. She had plenty of opportunities to win a belt in that weight class, whether it was before Katie Taylor rolled around or afterwards. She could have challenged someone like Delphine Pursuit.
Erkan?
She could have challenged someone like Victoria Bustos
Erkan?
or Rose Volante
Erkan?
and Ana E. Esther Sanchez. These are all fighters that she could have challenged herself so that when she does square off with Katie Taylor, she can bring a belt to the table. But if you know anything about Amanda Serrano's resume, you'll know that a lot of these different weight classes that she's won world titles in, those world titles were vacant. The vast majority of them were vacant. These are not titles that she pried away from the hands of a world champion. And yet, this is a fighter who's fought in 7 weight classes, been around since 2009, and has probably only faced 1 active champion. That means a champion that has a belt. That means a champion that, you know, they've got a belt of their own and you're attempting to win it from them. The last 2 belts she won, they were vacant. You do realize that. The one that she dropped all the way down there to win,
158?
you know, from Eva Vorberger, vacant title. Eva Vorberger, she wasn't a champion in that weight class, and that wasn't her belt. That was Raja Amaje's belt that became vacant under some very peculiar circumstances. Before that, the belt that Amanda won at 140 pounds, that belt was also vacant. You squared off against Yamila Reynoso for it. There was a bigger name in that weight class that you could have fought, 2 bigger names. You could have fought Erika Farias, the consensus #1 of the weight class, and if you didn't want to fight her for her WBC title, you could have fought Ana Laura Esteche for the 2 titles that she had when she was holding them. Understand that it's not so much winning vacant titles that's peculiar, because titles become vacant all the time for any variety of reasons. Sometimes a champion might move up, title becomes vacant. Or sometimes a champion may not want to satisfy their mandatory, so the title becomes vacant that way. It's not so much fighting for vacant titles that's the issue.
That's not quite
but
it.
Constantly fighting for vacant titles. That almost every single title you've ever won was not a title that you had to fight someone interesting to get. And don't tell me that there aren't interesting people anywhere from 140
to 118
to 118
or 115.
If you're jumping up and down on a regular basis between that many weight classes, there is a myriad of interesting fights and interesting fighters that you could have. Yet if you look on Amanda Serrano's resume, these are not the kind of fights that you see. You don't see names like Delphine Persoon, Erika Farias, Ana Laura Esteche, Barbie Juarez, Tigresa Acuña, Daniela Bermudez, Eva Brodnicka, Eva Wallstrom, Hyun-Mi Choi, Maiva Hamadouche. And these champions that I'm naming, these fighters didn't just get here yesterday, you understand? These fighters have been around throughout the duration of Amanda Serrano's pro career that started all the way back in 2009. These kinds of fighters have been around, but you don't see these kinds of fighters in her resume. So while she likes to run around saying that, you know, she's a 7-division champion, you really have to wonder that without those kinds of names being on your resume, what exactly does it mean to be a 7-division champion?
No, seriously.
How are people supposed to receive it when they see that you've been a champion in 7 weight classes, but you throw those belts in the air as soon as you get them, you don't defend them? And when you do go to campaign for another belt, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a vacant title. It's going to be a title that a champion isn't actually holding. So we get back to the Katie Taylor situation. A situation that Amanda Serrano, in many ways, brought on herself. You know, her sister originally got a contract to fight Katie Taylor. The fight goes down. Katie dominates her sister. And what does Amanda say? Why didn't you guys send me that contract? You should have sent me that contract.
Okay.
So they send you a contract, a 3-fight deal. You're 1 fight into that deal, and all of a sudden, you're unhappy with the situation? You're doubling back? You've got other things in mind? You want to be a champion at 126?
All of a sudden.
You know, when that deal was first announced, I said that the logical thing for Amanda to do now that that deal is underway is for her to target Delphine Persoon. That way, if she takes care of one fish and Katie Taylor takes care of the other, they can meet in the middle after that and hash it out. That would have been the ideal thing to do. But what did Amanda do? She dropped down there several weight classes to fight for another vacant title. So now she's looking at 126 instead of looking at 135, where Katie Taylor is the unified champion. She's looking at 126 and she's talking about unifying. Well, let's put it this way. If Amanda Serrano's next fight is going to be a fight for a world title, and that world title is going to be a 126-pound title, that narrows down the pool of options, because in that weight class, Jelena Marjanovic holds 2 of the 4 world titles. She holds both the WBC and the WBA. But I doubt that it's Jelena, because Jelena not that long ago announced a fight date. And if it were Amanda Serrano, I think they would have included that bit of it in the news. So I don't think it's Jelena. We then have the IBF champion, Jennifer Hahn. And it can't be Jennifer Hahn because, well, right now, Jennifer Hahn is with child. So that then leaves Heather Hardy. And it can't be Heather Hardy because Heather Hardy just announced that the next time you see her in action, it's going to be in the cage, not the squared circle. She's going to be participating in a Bellator event.
I'm willing to throw down no matter what. You know, like they had asked me if I'd fight Amanda, asked Amanda if she'd fight me. We said yes, but as far as the discussions have gone. So right now my full focus is on Bellator 222.
Now what title does Heather Hardy just so happen to hold? The WBO title. And is it possible that since Heather Hardy's next fight isn't going to be a boxing match, it's going to be a fight in mixed martial arts, is it possible that the title that Heather Hardy just won, the WBO title, which Amanda Serrano seems to be very fond of, is it possible that that title is about to become vacant, making it available for Amanda to fight for, all without fighting Heather Hardy,
the champion?
You know, there were some rumblings of a potential fight between those two, but we see how the cookie crumbled. I mean, it's not those two that are going to be fighting. We know what Heather Hardy's about to do, and we're getting a glimpse of what Amanda's about to do. And what Amanda's about to do looks eerily similar of what she's been doing. Moving up and down in weight, not defending those titles and not unifying them.
Now she might.
I mean, she said in her tweet that she's looking to unify all the belts. But what does that really mean when it doesn't look like you're going to be fighting a world champion of any kind? Because the only available world champion for you to fight is Jelena Marjanovic.
And she's booked.
Heather's doing the MMA thing, and Jennifer's pregnant. So what it looks like is that in order to abscond from what is a Katie Taylor fight, in order to get away from that fight and remove herself from that situation altogether, what Amanda's about to do, at least what it looks like, is she's going to go to 126, fight for the vacant WBO if it becomes vacant, and then try to campaign there
as a featherweight champion
to unify those world titles. So where does that leave a Katie Taylor fight? I'll tell you where it leaves it. Doesn't leave it anywhere. If you're down there trying to become an undisputed champion or a unified champion at 126, well, there goes the Katie Taylor fight, because she's up there at 135. I long speculated, after the ink dried on the contract, why Amanda Serrano would go from winning a title at 140 pounds to drop all the way down there for some other version of the WBO when, A, you already have a version of the WBO. If anything, if you were going to use that WBO bylaw that allows you to contend for a title,
another weight class,
any one of their titles in any one of their weight classes, if you were going to do that, then you could have used that to square off against Rose Volante, the reigning WBO champion at that time. But as always, Amanda, she dropped down there to fight for a version of a title that nobody was holding. So the most I can say is the look of this is that Amanda Serrano's trying to get out of that fight. That's what it looks like. You want my opinion? That's my opinion. You can feel free to disagree, but you want to know what I think about it? That's what I think about it. Why are you over there looking at 126 if you just signed a 3-fight deal to fight Katie at 135? How much sense does that make? How is that conducive towards making the fight?
It's not.
It's for this reason that Amanda Serrano's resume looks the way that it looks. And I'm not going to be intellectually dishonest. It's not that Amanda Serrano has never fought a good fighter.
She has.
It's not that Amanda Serrano isn't one of the most accomplished fighters in the sport of women's boxing. And it's not that Amanda Serrano isn't a good fighter overall. She is. But Amanda Serrano's career is subject to a lot of creative matchmaking, a lot of careful guidance, and attention to detail. And that attention to detail, that careful guidance, is why we're seeing her go in a different direction than the direction of a Katie Taylor fight. Ladies and germs, there's really no other way to put it. It does look like Amanda Serrano has just ducked Katie Taylor. And all you really have to do to arrive at that conclusion is put your thinking caps on, kids. We know that Amanda Serrano signed a 3-fight deal that's supposed to end with a Katie Taylor fight, right? And we know that she's already 1 fight into that deal. But if Amanda Serrano books her dance card for the next 2 fights, well, there goes your Katie Taylor fight, and it appears that that's what she's done. Because she means to fight for a world title in her next fight, and it sounds a lot like she means to unify that title, that she may or may not win, thereafter. So if that's the way it plays out, well, there goes your Katie Taylor fight. You just passed up on the opportunity right then and there. And we hear the verbiage that there are other girls that are walking away. Oh, other girls that are walking away. So is that what you're doing? Is that how you chose to phrase it to disguise what's really going on here? That you are the one that is walking away, even though you were the one that was saying they didn't send you a contract, that they should have sent you a contract, not your sister. I mean, if anything, this situation is self-imposed. Amanda Serrano juggles up and down in weight so much, nobody ever really knows where she's gonna pop up. So pressure to make a Katie Taylor versus Serrano fight, it wasn't even always there, because who knows where Amanda Serrano is going to be campaigning next. But when she spoke up about it, that added that pressure, that created that fan demand and that attention, that made it a significant fight. But all of that, I reiterate, all of that is self-imposed. Because Amanda Serrano was the one with the wavering commitment to boxing at that time to begin with. She was the one that retired something like 2 times. She announced her retirement like 2 times and went back on it 2 times. So there wasn't a lot of pressure. But once you sign a 3-fight deal with the Zone, and the announcements are made that, this is with the Katie Taylor fight in mind, once once all of that takes place, well, there's no going back. So if you decide to go in another direction, that's a duck. That's what it is. Not dissimilar from Amir Khan signing the Matchroom, getting everybody thinking that, okay, well, he's signing the Matchroom because he intends to make that Kell Brook fight, only for you to go in another direction. That's what it looks like. That for some reason or another, that is not a fight that you're willing to have. And you'll go as far as taking risks with someone else, the way we see that Amanda Serrano, who normally really only fights for vacant titles and doesn't unify them, is talking about unifying them. That you're only now talking about this as a Katie Taylor fight is becoming more and more an eventuality. That this is your way of substituting what should be a Katie Taylor fight. That rather than facing Katie, you're gonna go down there to 126, win a title, and try to unify it. Something you don't normally do, right? You know, but that's the substitute. The same way that, you know, Amir Khan, he's substituting what should have been a Kell Brook fight, because that was a far more long-anticipated fight. He's substituting that with what? A Terrence Crawford fight. Terrence Crawford's a good fighter, and if Amanda Serrano were to square off against Jelena Marjanovic, yeah, she's a good fighter, the way that Crawford's a good fighter. But we can see what's going on here. We can see that you're doing this at a time when people were expecting you to do something else. But because you're so averse to that something else, you're willing to go in another direction. So ladies and germs, I'll say this much. You can see the same news that I'm seeing, read the same articles that I'm reading, and come to an entirely different interpretation. It's your prerogative to decide how you want to feel about what you're looking at, what you're reading. But if you're going to come here and you want to know what I think about it, that's what I think about it. That's my take. That's my opinion. There are very few fights in the sport of women's boxing that can get you the same kind of attention as a Katie Taylor fight. And you can always read between the lines to see who really wants to fight and who doesn't. I mean, compare how Amanda Serrano is acting towards this fight to how Jessica McCaskill was acting towards that fight. Jessica, like Amanda, called out Katie Taylor. She said her name. But unlike Amanda, Jessica actually went ahead with the fight. She did what she had to do to get the fight. She got the fight. She had the fight. And it's over. It's in the history books. Whereas Amanda, she's not even at that point. Before it gets to that point, she will remove herself from the situation altogether. And that's what I think is going on. Bottom line, Amanda Serrano might have felt pressured by the fans, the boxing pundits, the media. She might have felt pressured by those people to address a potential Katie Taylor fight. But for her, it was never something that she really wanted.
Because there's talk about Amanda possibly fighting Celia as well.
All right.
So
Well, the fight between me and her would make a lot more sense. We're closer in the weight, so she does. I think she's doing everything she can do to avoid me. To be honest, that's what it looks like.
yeah. From a personal point of view, do you believe that Amanda Serrano does want to fight you?
Well, I have to take her word for it. She said she wants to fight, so I hope she does step up and actually take the fight. That's the fight that everyone wants to see. I don't know. Sometimes I question Amanda Serrano's heart, but I think she definitely does pick and choose her fights very well. So I don't really think she wants to fight personally, but she has said she wants it, and I hope she sticks to her word. Amanda, let's go.
Let's go. Let's go, champ.